Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kentucky Go Digital Live. My name is Matt Balka, or DJ Matty B, and I am super excited to be here with you today for this awesome show. We are once again joined by our incredible panel live down below. We have Angie White, who is the District Instructional Technology Coordinator for Oldham County Schools. We have Courtney DeRosset, who's Field Staff for KDE. Danielle Washburn, who's running things behind the scenes for us today and a Digital Innovation Leader for JCPS. We have Heather Worrell, the Executive Administrator of Digital Innovation for JCPS. We have Dana Dowdy, Digital Learning Coach for Graves County Schools. We have Heidi Neltner, the Digital Learning Coach for Fort Thomas Independent Schools. And we are joined by a very special guest today on our panel, current reigning Kentucky Teacher of the Year, Donnie Piercy. Give it up for him, everybody. So Donnie's on here today, so I had to wear my Patriots jersey. I'm rocking Cam Newton. Donnie and I talk about four things, two of which are the Patriots and the Star Wars prequels. So so we're super happy to have you today. Let me scroll down on my script here. Thank you for joining us live on YouTube. Please, if you're in the chat, let us know where you're from, what you teach, what district. If you're out of state, we love to hear from you too. We are so happy that you could join us on this Friday. We have in the chat Kathleen Receiver and Brandy New taking questions, so make sure that you drop in there and let us know what you need to ask. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you can be notified every time we go live, and you can see all those videos that we have on here, so you can go back and watch them later with the power of pause. So it is time to get into our show. You have heard enough from me. We have two incredible leaders with us today from Pikeville Independent Schools. We have Sarah Blackburn and Kim Fields, who are teacher leaders and amazing creators for virtual student lessons. So let's give it up for them. It is great to have you on the show with us today. Thanks for joining us, Sarah and Kim.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, well, the floor is all yours. Take us away.
All right, I'm going to get us started today. I am currently a fourth grade math teacher, but this is my first year in this position. I was a first grade teacher for many years, so when this pandemic hit, I was trying to teach first graders virtually, and of course it threw all of us into a tailspin. And I was creating all these videos for my kids to watch, and you just know when they're not watching what they're asking questions that you answered. So I knew that Edpuzzle was an option, and I was really interested in it, but I had a little bit of fear with first graders and them getting logged on, and it's probably my biggest regret from my last school year. So this year, of course, I changed grade levels when they were a little older, but I knew Edpuzzle was something that I wanted to use, and it has been the best tool that I could have used this year to keep my kids where they need to be, even though I can't be with them every day. We started out virtually. We are now on a hybrid schedule, so I do get to see my students in person 2 days a week, but to be able to still deliver instruction that I know they're watching when they're home has been phenomenal. And I know now, after I'm using it, that I could have used it with first graders last year. So easy for them. It wouldn't have been a problem. But I let that fear. So I'm time to get over that. If that's what you teach, they can do it, I promise. Getting them logged in was something I worried about, but Edpuzzle has made everything so easy. So you're asking, well, why Edpuzzle? What are you talking about? Well, it is a wonderful website that will keep students engaged. It will track how much of a video they watched. It will keep them accountable. It will give you instant feedback and them instant feedback for how they are using, what they're learning as they're using it. It's just absolutely amazing. And I'm ready to share my slide deck, I guess. And pull it up for me.
Real quick, while she's pulling that up, has anyone else on the panel embedded Edpuzzle into their instructional design? We'd love to hear about that.
So I've used it a few times over the past 3 or 4 years. It's definitely, like she was saying, like Kim was saying, it's if you're trying to keep your students engaged, and more importantly, if you want them to do.
And they are currently up. I'm not sure if will be able to see the slides, but the audience can see the slides.
I'll just talk and it will just go along. I have a slide. It's a little clip. I can't see it, but I look a little ridiculous. I like to use Bitmojis a lot when I'm doing stuff with my kids. They like them. It keeps them a little engaged. But this is an example of one of the ed puzzles that I did. It's called Estimating Products. And I like to make my own videos. You absolutely do not have to when you're using ed puzzle. There is just a wealth of things out there. But if you'll notice across the bottom of the screen, it looks like little water drops or teardrops. Those are questions or notes that you can embed into videos that the students can actually, or will have to actually stop, answer whatever you're asking, and along the right you can see it will tell you the actual time stamp that it will stop. And I always like to show my face in my videos. I like to keep the students more engaged. So one of the reasons I like to use my own, because I can embed myself in there. And especially at the beginning of the year, most of them hadn't met me yet, and they needed to attach a face to the person who was talking to them. I just felt like it made a much better connection so that when we did get to come in person, I wasn't a complete stranger to them. And that's really important right now. If you can find a way to develop a relationship with your students, even when you're not able to be face-to-face, they're going to work so much harder for you. And we knew that last year, and I felt like that was the biggest advantage that we had going out in March. We already had such a strong relationship with our students that starting to develop one at the beginning of the year this year, I felt like was one of the teachers' biggest hurdles. Being able to listen to your face is huge.
Kim, have you been in NTI in Pikeville this whole time, or did you all start face-to-face? What has been your district strategy?
We started late August. We're completely virtual. We were virtual for about a month before, towards the end of September, we went into a hybrid schedule. So we will see our students 2 days a week in person, and we'll rotate groups. And then they're 3 days a week virtual.
Gotcha.
That's
well,
where
like
we've been.
District, we've been NTI the whole time. So it's been really challenging for our teachers to build those relationships with kids. And, they've never had them in an actual class before. So it's been really interesting. What about other districts? What is your district currently doing?
So in Oldham County, we started a little later than we anticipated. So we started out in NTI, and then we went in person. At the elementary, we had small enough class sizes that we were able to have all of our classes because we had so many in our virtual learning academy. At the middle and high school, we went AB, much like what Kim's talking about, but that was just at middle and high school. And today is our first day back in NTI. So we're in NTI at least through December 4th. And so we've had to shift from NTI to in-person to NTI. But I will say that all of the work that it took to get us into NTI for those, or into in-person for 6 weeks, was well worth it. Having that opportunity to make those connections with those students was awesome. And we don't regret going in. I anticipate that we'll be able to come back, but even if the worst happened and we weren't, at least we had 6 weeks with our kids.
Donnie, in Fayette County, a lot of us got to see your keynote make every week like Shark Week. And that was very inspiring. And we talk about Shark Week all the time now on my team. And that was just very inspiring to us and continues to linger as a message for how we think about culture. So Donnie, in Fayette County, have you guys been face to face? I don't know.
So we've been full virtual since August.
Okay, so that's my question. My question. How do you make every week like Shark Week when you've never seen your kids and you're all virtual?
So that's kind of goes to what like Kim was saying, right? Last March, after COVID hit, it definitely, it was still hard, but we knew those students. We already had those relationships established. So yeah, there was that transition period where teaching them how to use Zoom or Google Meet or Teams, whatever app you were using. There was definitely a learning curve there, but we still had those relationships with those kids. So it definitely was a lot easier than this August, when we had this new group of kids, this new crop of kids who were coming into our space that, we knew from like their pictures in Infinite Campus and maybe seeing them in the hallways the year before. But outside of that, like there really wasn't much, they didn't really know us and we didn't really know them. And I think one thing that a lot of teachers who are brand new to this virtual environment realized is, those first few weeks of school, if you're in the building, it's really important to, content matters, but letting the students have fun, see who you are, put those unique things out there, those cool experiences in school, just so that way it doesn't seem like it's just a 7-hour YouTube video that kids are watching every day. I've always said, 10 years from now, when your kids think back on their elementary, middle, or high school experience, they're not going to remember that, that one worksheet that you gave on a Friday. They're not going to remember, little tests and stuff along the way matter. But what they're going to remember is if you took time out of your schedule to create unique experiences, for them, to kind of make school, especially in the era of COVID, to make it just feel so much more special for them, because this is hard. I know a lot of the people on this call have kids. A lot of people on this call that they have families, and if you're in NTI trying to teach while managing 2 or 3 of your 4 of your own kids who are also doing this virtual school thing, it's tough. So just kids are going to appreciate those little steps that we take along the way to make this all the more special for them. You're muted. I feel like if we're playing bingo, we just got the center square, right? So,
yes, we did. Just like Kim's doing out there in Pikeville.
Yeah.
So, Kim, let's see a little bit more about how you're able to make these engaging and create that Shark Week experience like Donnie always talks about.
Okay. Well, one of the best features to me in Edpuzzle is that it will lock your videos, because I know my own son, he hates Edpuzzle, but only for this reason, because he cannot fast forward and skip videos, because he wants to be lazy. So when a teacher assigns one, he's not real happy just because he has to watch the whole thing. To me, my teacher heart's so happy because he has access to all these popular channels. YouTube content is on there, Khan Academy, National Geographic. You can find TED Talks, number file. It's already there. It's already created for you, and you can just drop it in. But the beauty of it is, even if you do find a YouTube video that you want to make your own, you can go in and you can edit it a little. You can add your own questions. You can stop. Like, this is a YouTube video that I had found about rounding, and he starts out talking about some things that maybe I wasn't ready for my students to know yet. You can go in and actually hit the edit button on the right once you've found the content that you want, and you can cut out the sections that you don't want your students to have to see at that point. Maybe it's going to confuse them. Maybe you've previously taught it just a little bit different way, but there are things in that video that are very beneficial. It's just an amazing little tool. If you like the video exactly how it is, you can go ahead and click assign, and students are able, and I'll show you in just a second how you can do that. But if you hit edit, it will pull up the video and it will give you 3 options. You can cut the video, you can do a voiceover, or you can add questions. Now, voiceover is deactivated. If it's a YouTube video, it will not let you. You can voice over your own videos. Usually if you've made a video, you've already had all the voice that you need. At least I usually do. But I like the option to be able to cut out things. Maybe it just did a really long introduction. Some YouTube channels are really bad for that. And I try to remember that my kids, their time behind that computer is precious. I don't want them sitting there for hours and hours every day if I can keep from it. So to cut down to just what's important, to me, that's just a really good feature. But the questions feature is where I love it the most. You can stop your video at any point. You can insert a multiple choice question, or it can be a short response. If you choose multiple choice, it will immediately give the students the feedback. They will automatically know if it's right, if it's wrong. And I probably don't have a slide for that, I'm sorry. it also will, as soon as they finish the video, it will notify you as a teacher what students are missing. So it's just instant feedback when I'm in the classroom is really important to me. It guides my instruction. So to be able to have that so quickly when they're home, it's just wonderful. But the other thing, if you hit questions, there also is a little option that you can add a note. So if you're watching a video, maybe that was created by somebody else, and there's something you just want to insert for your students, you can click Insert Note, and you can type it, or you can actually insert yourself talking there, and it will pause the video and cause your students to have to listen to that. Maybe, like when I was teaching rounding with my students this year, they really were struggling. And in their Ed puzzle that I had created for them with my video, there was a certain poster that I was using, or like an anchor chart that I was using every time, and it had the steps that, because there's different methods that people use to teach things, and there were certain steps that I was using. And when I needed additional practice for them, and I went back to find other videos that I could use, when you stop your video, the video that you use for somebody else with a note, you can actually insert your anchor chart right there in the middle of their video. So it's so helpful. But when you do have your video all made, Edpuzzle integrates into just about any LMS system that you are using. Google Classroom, Canvas, Schoology, also Moodle, PowerSchool, and Blackboard. And it's very simple. These are my classrooms. All I have to do is check which math classes, which periods that I want to assign it to. You always want to make sure, well, I always want to make sure that I click the prevent skipping box. I don't want my students to be able to skip ahead. But the beauty of it, they can't skip, but they can go back and rewatch any part of it that they need to watch. If they get to a part and you stop and ask them a question and they realize maybe they zoned out during that section, or they just need to hear it again, they can hit rewatch and it'll take it right back through again for them as many times as they need. Because you have those students that, yes.
Yes, I have to stop there because that's been Heather's mantra forever, the power of pause. To go back and look at it and listen to it again, or watch that video again, just to be able to give them that opportunity, because our students don't always get it the first go round. Sometimes they need it more than once. And like you said, many times they zone out. Especially if it's any length of time, and that just keeps them on task and keeps them engaged. So I had to jump in on that.
Oh, absolutely.
And just for the record, I'm often credited with the power of pause, but I have to give credit where credit is due. I was actually in Northern Kentucky at their Ed Camp Northern Kentucky, and this was back when I was at KDE, and I was sitting in a session about Canvas or something, and there were two high school teachers in Boone County, and one of them said power of pause, and it was one of those moments where it hit me in the heart and soul and just like completely changed how I thought about the power of providing those videos for students and allowing them to differentiate based on their needs. So whoever that teacher was in Boone County, that phrase is now famous, but she gets all the credit. That just changed the way I think about using those videos in teaching. Anyone else on the panel want to interject?
Heather, all your you can pay all your royalties to them, I guess, right? Is that how that goes? But
exactly right.
Yeah. No, I mean, one of the things that I've always enjoyed about Edpuzzle is that, with some apps that have that share to Google Classroom, share to Canvas feature, it's basically you're just linking to another site that they'll then have to log into with a separate password. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about Edpuzzle is once you get your class set up, which is super easy, it syncs up. I mean, it's just a matter of the kids clicking and watching the video. It's not, they have to type in a code every time. So if you're trying to streamline your instruction, and especially for kids, especially elementary age kids who often have even a difficult time like logging into a Chromebook, the fact that once they're already logged in, they can just click and they can watch the videos. And it's not like they have to click a separate button to see the question pops up, right? Any assessments that they're doing along the way, those formative assessment questions will appear right in front of them. So definitely agree with Kim that it's just super easy. But it's not just something that elementary school teachers use. There's tons of middle and high school teachers across the state who are really starting to learn the power of Edpuzzle.
I will ask Kim, whenever you use Edpuzzle, whenever the students are finished, do you go back and, and allow some students to, I know it gives you the ability to have them redo one if you see that they've, not watched it like you wanted them to and answer the questions. Do you find that beneficial to allow some of those students to go back and answer those questions again?
Well, it notifies you if they watch the whole video or not. When you actually pull up your grade book, it will, and I think that's in one of my slides, it has a little green line under it that will show you how far the students actually got in the video. And then it will tell you their percentage of the questions that they answered as well. But if the student has watched 100% of the video and I see they're still struggling, like if you'll notice, on September the 16th when I did my rounding lesson, the scores were quite a bit lower, and that gave me the information that I needed. I need to spend more time on this. So I developed other lessons because to me, if they didn't get it when they went through it that first time, I need to find another way. That's that's just my teaching philosophy in general, I guess. But you absolutely could if you felt like the student just didn't try. Because I know there are those times too. You can absolutely assign it to them again.
And Kim,
I love the feedback on that. Sorry, Danielle.
no, I was gonna say the same thing. The great thing about Edpuzzle is the feedback, is the reporting feature in that, because it tells you if students need to go back, rewind, or further remediation, or further supports need to be given to that student. So I love that feature of Edpuzzle.
Absolutely. Hold on, my lights went out. There we go.
Hey,
That
Kim, could I ask a question? So
Yeah.
when your students are watching Edpuzzle, like I'm guessing that's asynchronous, right? You're not on a Zoom call or a Meet when they're watching their videos. So are you often like just kind of monitoring live, like during their asynchronous work time, or like what's the workflow for that?
Well, we have a lot of students that they are in daycare while their parents are at work, and so they're doing work at all different times. So I'm usually sitting to watch when their scores come in or if they ask a question so that I can reply to them and get back to them whatever time they did it. A lot of my students are doing their work in the evenings, and that's just life right now. I know as a parent, I struggle with trying to make sure my own children have what they need while I'm at work. So
I feel you. I feel you on that one. Yeah.
It's a struggle. So I knowing where these parents and students are coming from, I think it completely changed how I am delivering what I deliver. Any more questions about that? All right. Well, the last thing I guess I want to show you until I'll actually log into my Edpuzzle and show you a little more, but their basic plan, because this is always what I want to know. When somebody's showing me this tool that they love, I want to know, well, is it free? How does that work? So Edpuzzle, for their basic plan, is completely free. All teachers can use it. You can save up to 20 videos on their free plan. And I had made it so far this year, and I hadn't needed to go above that. But my plan had been, once I hit my 20, you can delete your videos so that you can continue all year if you need to. Made me nervous because we just don't know where things are going right now. How long is this going to how long is this going to last? So my plan had been, I'm going to pay the $11.50 a month and upgrade my account so that I can have unlimited. But just this week, our district purchased the Pro plan, so I've been so excited. And now we have access among all of our teachers in our district. We can see each other's content and share. So that's been phenomenal. But the free plan, every single thing that I've shown you that it does, it's the free plan. The only limitation is that you can only have 20 videos. Hey,
Hi, Kim. There were some questions in the chat
Oh,
that some people, we love that everyone's popping in. We see a lot of people. I know you have some proud supporters there in Pikeville Independent with your the co-DTC CIOs, Brandon Blackburn and Neil Arnett. But there was a question that do you contact every child that doesn't watch the video like every day? And how would you do that over with 100 students? Like when you look and there's a ton of kids, like how do you connect with them? That was a question from Jennifer, and I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but we're so glad you're watching.
When we were 100% virtual, I would message the students on Google Classroom first if they were not just Edpuzzle, but any assignment, if they were not completing it. And if they didn't reply, then we also use Remind as a district as our communication tool. My next step was I would message the parents and try that way. And yeah, it was every student, but I would, I had a little checklist that I would have going, and I would wait until it was due or past due, I guess a day late. So that I would have my list of students and I would message them all at the same time in one message. So it was a little easier to manage. I had about 75 students that I was managing at that time. But now that we're hybrid, when they come in the next day, I can actually just have a face-to-face conversation with them.
So I have a question about, thank you, Jennifer, for asking that because it sparked me to think of this. Like, do you let the parents know, like when you just showed that slide of, hey, I can check the progress? Do the students know, look, I can see, like, do you tell them that up front so they know, hey, we see you?
Hitting it first, and they were just hitting turn it in. Like they thought it was just like a YouTube video and that I would never know that they didn't watch it. But they learned quickly when I was able to reply and say, hey, I saw that you only watched 40% of this video and answered one of my questions. So now they know, and now many more students are watching the whole thing, and it's going well. I did notice, and I didn't notice until last night actually, when you have a new student that pops in, like we got a new student like last week, all it shows that she watched none of the Edpuzzle videos previously. So you will have to watch for that to make sure that it's not in Google Classroom giving them an automatic 0. I've got to go in and look at that and make sure. That was just a little feature that I just noticed, and just a little tip in case you're using it and you get a new student.
I'm trying to remember, does Edpuzzle do it as an assignment in Google Classroom where you can assign a score afterwards? Does it sync up?
Beautifully. When you're making the assignment, as long as you check the box post on Google Classroom, it does. You don't even, if you do a Google form and you put it in your Google Classroom, you have to push the import scores button every time to make sure. You don't have to do that with Edpuzzle. Even if they do it 3 weeks late, it will still show up as their score. You don't have to keep going back and looking for it.
Oh, nice. That's super helpful.
Yes.
Yeah, we like smarter, not harder. And that is smarter, not harder.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions about Edpuzzle, I'm going to throw it over to Sarah. She's going to show you some amazing ways that she creates her own videos.
Thank you so much, Kim. So again, I'm Sarah Blackburn, and I teach 6th grade science here at Pikeville Elementary. And so now that Kim has shown us all that really good information about Edpuzzle, I want to just focus on the actual video content for a little while. She talked a lot about how some of us really like to make our own things. And obviously I'm like that too. And we can find a wealth of great information out there on Khan Academy or YouTube, PBS, all those platforms that are our favorites. But if you're like me, you get in situations where you can't find the exact right video that's on your student's level, or that doesn't talk about what you need it to talk about. And we are all so diverse. We have diverse situations and diverse students. And so making our own videos is sometimes the best way to go. And so I'm just going to share some tips on how to make your teacher-created videos a little bit more engaging and personal for your own students. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Just one moment here.
Sarah, I can't help but notice the Funko Pop doll over your shoulder. I was trying to figure out what it was while you're loading that up.
Okay. Well, I have a couple of them. I have Gamer Mini. I have Baby Yoda and Mary Poppins.
And I think I saw Baby Groot on there too, huh? Did I?
Oh yeah, I've got Groot. I've got all my nerd culture stuff back here. So
Hey man, it's part of the fun. Just own it.
absolutely. So can everyone see my screen right now?
We sure can.
Okay, absolutely. So again, I just want to talk to you about how to create content that students will want to watch with your videos. And I know that during the pandemic right now, we're all making tons and tons of videos, whether with Screencastify or just our document cameras. And I've been doing this for years just to kind of diversify and differentiate for even my special ed students who might need time to pause. I love that power of pause idea. And so basically, as I kept making videos, I started just adding little things to them. And I have to give my son, Ian, he's 13 now, but a few years ago, all these little boys love YouTube and they love the gamer channels and all of that. And he would see me making my videos for class and he would say, you need to put that on YouTube, or you need to put some music behind that. And he would give me all this editing advice. And so I actually started listening to him, which goes to show sometimes we need to listen to our kids just to see what kind of things they like. And so I started, my videos started getting a little bit more fancy, for lack of a better word. And I realized that just little tiny changes can make a big difference with student engagement. So really, I'm just sharing some tips and tricks that I found out as I started to add more little personal touches to my videos today. So with getting started, getting ready to start creating a video content, I think sometimes it can get overwhelming and you have this topic that you want to cover and you want to make a video over it. And so I think it's really helpful to actually make a storyboard for any videos that you create. I actually have a link to a template that I created for these, and that's in the slides presentation. So when we're off of here, if you want to take a look at that. And it's just a really simple Google Slides storyboard template where I can put some little images or ideas of the images that I want to show on the left side, and then have my script on the right side. And I can be reading from that or looking at that as I make my videos. Like I said before, little touches go a long way. I started out with the videos I made for my classroom, simply just doing notes under the document camera, or just sharing my screen and doing little quick 10-minute videos. And then I would start adding tiny little things like music or a title, or I would have text pop up. And that's something to think about as you plan your video. You don't have to have all kinds of crazy editing. Just adding those little touches, I think, really does make a difference. And it gets easier the more you do those. If you are wanting to go from just a Screencastify video of maybe your hands doing a math problem or going through notes with students, and you want to make it a little bit more engaging, I think the best piece of advice to start with is to just make a nice slide deck and do a screen recording of yourself going through that slide deck, because I think we all use Google Slides a lot. I like using Canva to make my slides, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. And I think that making a nice little slide deck can give your videos a nice animated feel if you do it the right way. Another quick tip with getting started is always find a quiet time and place to record. I have a few videos, we live near a train, and so I have a few videos where I have the train going off in the background. And so that's something I kind of learned. I make a lot of my videos here at school when I'm recording my voice for that. But funny thing is, sometimes it's nice to have some of those little idiosyncrasies in your videos because the kids get a kick out of it. Because one I posted the other day, it was a really quick one. I don't even have it on YouTube. It was just in Google Classroom. I had a train going off, and the next day when we were in person, the kids were saying, "Hey, how was that train?" And so it's just little personal things that that make your videos something that the kids look forward to watching.
I like that, Sarah. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I like how you're talking about that you put yourself out there. Because so often, to channel a little Jeff Sobolski, we want to have students create their videos. well, how can they feel comfortable creating their videos if you're not creating them yourself as a teacher? So I love how you're putting yourself out there. Neil was giving you a shout out about the storyboarding, but showing them how to organize their thoughts. There's a lot that goes into that, and showing how to do it, and that it's okay to not be perfect, but to put yourself out there to make the video. And then I'm sure that you've shared this with other teachers too, but I like that you are mimicking what you want your students to eventually create too. And that gives them confidence that, hey, if old Miss Sarah Blackburn can do it, then I can too, So good job. I like it.
And Sarah, I have a whole folder on my desktop that's just full of videos that end with me saying, darn it, after I messed up. And it's always like right before I'm about to finish. So definitely feel you on the mistakes.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said before, I think that students need to see that we're human, and that, we are trying, we are not perfect, and we are trying to put ourselves out there, like you said. And it does encourage them to put themselves out there. That's also why I like things like Flipgrid. That gives them tiny little opportunities to put themselves out there. And so, and as far as the storyboard goes, it's funny that you said that. The storyboard that I used for my videos, I actually tweaked a little bit. We're doing a scratch coding project in my science class right now, and I shared a tweaked version of this storyboard template for the students to use. And I even told them the other day, I said, look, I'm actually using this. So this is something that, this is a good way to plan for things that you create. So yeah, you're right. It's good to model ourselves creating and putting ourselves out there and doing this for our students. And so the next little point that I did want to talk about was to watch other channels and videos to get an idea of what kind of style you want to have. What videos do your students like watching that you've assigned? What are some of their favorite YouTube channels, even non-education related YouTube channels? What do those people do that engage kids? What are they interested in? Why do they like to watch that? And so I tried to pay attention to that as I made my videos, to add some little touches that would interest my students a little bit more. Talking about putting yourself out there, you're one step ahead of me. One thing that I've learned to do is not to be afraid to show your face. That is something that I've really struggled with at first when I was making videos, because I think that you really have to put yourself out there to do this. And I don't like seeing my face on things. I don't like seeing pictures and things, but if this pandemic has taught us anything, it's that our kids need this right now. They need to see us, and they need to know that we're there. So the first videos that I made where I was actually in it, and it wasn't just my voice narrating what I had created, I made those during April and May of this year while we were on lockdown, because I felt like my students wanted to see me. And so don't be afraid to make videos with yourself in it. The bloopers from those are fantastic, by the way. Talking about bloopers and folders of, of different videos with your bloopers. Those are great. And I would like to make a blooper reel of some of these for my students to watch, just to laugh at me at some point. But don't be afraid to put yourself out there and show your face, because your kids really do enjoy seeing you. And I think it shows that you really care about them.
I just feel like we all need to give her a round of applause for that advice, because that's some really good advice. Thanks so much for sharing that, because, we do feel a little vulnerable, and it's hard when we're making content, and do we want to include us? And I want to give a shout out to Brian Morrison from JCPS, who does an awesome job of being fun and creating that Shark Week experience. He does a lot of work with green screen. You got to check him out at Mr. Morrison, because he goes all in with props and has a great time of doing that.
That is awesome. I have not tried green screen yet. My son does have a green screen, and I've thought about it. So that will be my next adventure in video making. So just a few more tips. about making videos that your students will want to actually watch. Because in all of this, my goal is that I want to teach them, but I want them to look forward to that content. I want them to be engaged, and I want them to, just like I want them to look forward to walking into my classroom every day, I want them to look forward to clicking on those videos and actually watching them and interacting with them. So first of all, listen to your students. Like I said before, my son actually was the one who got me started with some of the editing process. And they will tell you what they want to see, and they will give you suggestions. And I have used student suggestions before. Give your students cues to pause and think or work during your videos. I love the power of pause, and it really does work, and it is something that we need to think about. So in my videos, a lot of times I will have a section that says, okay, stop and think, pause right now, where I actually instruct them to pause the video at that point and think of something that I want them to brainstorm, or think of the answer to a question that I have just asked. Making your content personal for them, I think, means a lot. Again, this is, I think we focus a lot more now. If there's anything positive to come out of the COVID-19 situation, I think that we are really hyper focused on social, emotional situations with students. And I've been trying to make my content more personal. I'll talk about things in my own life. I'll talk about situations with my family. I will include my pets. My first video I made for this school year was on the scientific method, and it was all about making my big fat cat lose weight. And I do, if you can see on the screen, that's my cat Scraggle. He weighs about 20 pounds. He is a big fella. And I included him on my video, and the students just love it. They'll come in and ask me how's Scraggle doing, and it really just making that more personal and adding something from my own life, I think engaged them and interested them, and saw that science was something that you could apply to all different facets of your life. Creating visuals and thumbnails to pique student interest. I'll talk about YouTube here in a minute with the thumbnails, but I think that including text and pictures and little bubbles that pop up in your video, that keeps students engaged, so it's not you droning on over and over and over about the same thing. I think that students are, a lot of our students are visual learners, and we want to pique their interest. We want to put things in the video that will pop in their mind when they're thinking about that content. So creating those visuals and not being afraid to try to edit them and put them in there, it is something that those little small touches can go a long way.
And Sarah, can I just add that I totally agree with everything that she said. Just creating those visuals that students will want to watch, because I personally have a first grader, and I'm just thinking about the Bitmoji classrooms. It's the same thing. Like, she was super excited to see the Bitmoji classroom just because it's fun, it's interactive, it's appealing to the eye, and she is wanting to learn. If it's just a doc, she's okay about it, but that more excitement about those videos in the Bitmoji classrooms, that is what piques their interest.
Because, and I have, some teacher friends that we are a little more experienced. We have a few more years than the newer teachers. And sometimes they'll say, well, why do we have to do this? Why do we have to learn this? You have to think, the kids now, they're from a total different generation. They're used to anytime learning. They're used to the pop-ins and the push this and the, it's not like, we talk about it changing, but now for their virtual world, we have to be even more outside of the box than even before. So yes, Danielle, I agree 100%. My daughter, same age, and she's, they get excited. That's the world they've been brought up in. So just showing a dog that may have amazed us 10 years ago, it's nothing to them. All these tips are really good and very relevant for getting them engaged.
Absolutely. And one of the things that's a really good segue into what I was going to talk about, YouTube. I have a 13-year-old son and a 9-year-old son, and they love YouTube, and they always have, and they follow these different creators on YouTube. My 13-year-old even has his own channel, and you're right, they've been brought up in a different world than we have, and so I do think we have to pay attention to what interests them and how their brains work right now. So I actually did create my own YouTube channel for that reason, and it was my son Ian's suggestion to do that. And it was a really good piece of advice, because not only do I have my students watching things on my Google Classroom that I have assigned to them, these videos, but I also have them in a library on my YouTube channel, where even when they have gone to the next grade, or even the students who are in the grades below where I'm teaching, they can actually access my YouTube channel and watch some of these. And I have had students who have moved along and said, we're learning about whatever, and I went back and watched that video again. And so I just want to talk to you about thinking about making your own YouTube channel, because I do think it makes us a little bit more relevant. It interests the students, and the platform of YouTube is something that they can understand, and they do this for fun anyway. And so if we can add that to their virtual learning, then I think that that's something good for them. So this is just a screenshot of my YouTube channel, and as you can see, I've made my little banner with my Bitmoji. We love Bitmojis around here. I think they're great. And so down here I have all my different videos, and as you can see, I've tried to create some interesting, colorful thumbnails for each of the videos. And this also kind of helps when I'm assigning something, and if a student forgets what they need to do, I can say, okay, make sure you go onto my YouTube channel, go to the video where you see the caps on it, okay? And so it's something that I try to make something that they want to click on. So they're not thinking, oh gosh, we're learning about experimental design. They're like, okay, why is there a mosquito on that picture? I want them to be engaged and kind of curious about what I'm going to do in there.
Sarah, I think that really speaks to that notion that we were talking earlier about, taking an interest in students by putting ourselves out there, right? And we know that they love YouTube. And I'm guessing your students are like, wow, Miss Blackburn, she's taking time to make these YouTube videos for us because she knows this is a platform that we're interested in. We're spending time on here anyway. And I mean, I'm guessing your students are responding positively to that.
They really are, because I think that they, like you said before, they get that I'm taking the time and I've listened to them and I paid attention to what they think is relevant and what matters to them, and I'm trying to blend that with what they need to know. And so it really does go a long way. And YouTube kind of has a culture. They talk about YouTube. They talk about how many likes they have, how many subscribers.
Do you have fun with them and tell them to mash the bell and like and subscribe at the end of all your videos?
Absolutely. It's just kind of a joke here. I posted a new video, like and subscribe. Now my number
links
of
in the description, right? Links in the description. It's down there.
Yeah, links in the description. There you go. We actually had a little contest, my 13-year-old and I, back a couple of years ago when I first made this, to see who could get the most subscribers. And he has long passed me, but at one point I was ahead. And so I don't ask all of my students to subscribe. I'm like, if you want to, you can. So, but some of them are really excited to come in at the beginning of the year and say, hey, I found your YouTube channel before I've even had them in class, and I subscribed to it. So it's kind of fun.
As a mom, I mean, I'm thinking, my kids are running and we're working. I mean, it's nice for me to be able to go to a YouTube channel and get caught up on what they're doing. I wish I knew all of the science of the ages, but I don't. I mean, I need them to even be able to follow along. So I know your kids appreciate it, but moms appreciate it too. So I know your parents and your communities do.
Yeah, well, it's a platform that everybody knows how to use, right?
Yep.
If you're trying to introduce them to oh, here's this new app and there's a video housed here, I think YouTube's something, it's universal. There's a reason why it's the number 2 or 3 most used app in the world beyond social media.
Absolutely. It is so easy. And, in that same vein, I remember last year during the pandemic, I had, around here we have a lot of grandparents raising children. And I remember while we were on lockdown, I had a grandparent message me and say, I need to help so-and-so with this. I'm not quite sure about the content. And I was able to guide her to my YouTube video on that topic. And I was glad to see that it helped her as much as it did the student, and they could watch it together and then talk about it. So you're absolutely right. This is different than just posting it on Google Classroom. That is for just that child. Parents, families, younger brothers and sisters can access this stuff. And I do think it gives, I hope that it makes the students in our building who are coming up to sixth grade look forward to having this class as well, because they kind of know who I am if their siblings have been watching that YouTube channel. And instead of just watching a teacher video, they're like, oh, she has a channel. It's kind of a bigger deal when it is in its own channel.
And it's device agnostic too, right? Whether your district's using Chromebooks, iPads, or if the Chromebook breaks, mom knows that she can pull it up on her phone.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. So within the slides, I actually have one of my videos posted in here. So if you have access to the slides, you can watch that. But this just shows kind of how this one started. And this just shows the thumbnail, my designing an experiment video that I made for the beginning of this year while we were on lockdown. This is something, if you're a science teacher, everybody starts with the scientific method and variables, independent and dependent. And that's something that I really feel like we needed to be in class for. So I had to be creative when it came to making content for this. So my whole premise behind this video was myself designing an experiment to see which brand of bug spray worked the best. And so later on, if you want to take a look at that, that's one of the ones that I am more proud of because I put a little bit more time into the editing process. And it was really actually easy to make. This was made from a slide deck that I created in Canva. And this is a good example of how you can get that animated feel with using slides within your videos. So just a very quick tutorial on how to get started with your own YouTube channel if that's something that you're interested in putting all your videos in. So you can sign in with your Google credentials. And once you sign in with your Google credentials, you will click here to access your account, your little profile. And then once you have created your account there, you can upload the videos you create by just pressing the little plus sign on the little camcorder over there on the side. And it's very, very user-friendly, very easy. Having your students like and subscribe, we kind of already talked about this. The YouTube culture is its own thing, and they speak that language and they enjoy talking about this. So I think that not just editing and creating these engaging videos, but also uploading them onto YouTube can really help with student engagement. I've talked about Canva a few times in this, and it is basically just a platform where you can do a little bit of creative design. This is what I use for my channel art, for my thumbnails, and my art for my videos. When I have text or little pictures and cartoons popping in and out, I use Canva, and you can use it for a wealth of different things. You can actually create presentations, slide decks in this. You can make little logos and even worksheets. I have done worksheets in Canva before, and it's super user-friendly. You can make a free account, but I think for a while they were doing free their top level accounts for educators, so you might want to look into that. And it's really easy to create visually appealing pictures and text to put into your videos through Canva. So if you aren't using it, you need to as an educator. It's fantastic for a lot of different things, including the videos. And finally, a really, really good source if you need to, if you just need some help, if you're thinking while trying to edit your videos and trying to figure out the whole YouTube thing. YouTube Creator Academy is super helpful. And if you're a total beginner, this is a great place to get started with editing skills. It has videos that actually walk you through all the processes to get you started. So I don't have time today to talk about all the little nitty gritty details, but if you are like, yes, I'm going to start doing this and I don't know where to start, that's a good place to start. So how can I create videos? I don't always do it the same way. It depends on the content that I'm using. Document cameras, if you are, a good place to start is just doing notes or working some problems under the document camera, adding some little pictures and text that pop up while you're doing that. You can screen record on most devices. Some of my recordings are actual simple phone recordings. I did some videos of the backyard ecosystems, and I just used my iPhone to record myself going through and looking at different living things in my backyard. A lot of us are using Screencastify right now. It is awesome. It is super easy, and all your recordings go straight to your Google Drive, and that makes it very easy to put them on YouTube and edit and everything. But one of my favorites is actually screencast-o-matic.com. It has some more complex editing features if you really want to try to do some fancy things. That's helpful. And then you just some other websites, Bitable.com, you can make little cartoons, and then Adobe Spark is also a good place to kind of get started if you don't necessarily want to show your face and want to have some pictures in there. But basically, whatever is easiest for you to use, you can work with and choose whatever platform you need for the content that you're teaching. But my message today is just to get out there and try. Very quickly, I know we're running out of time. I do have some pros and cons of each of these platforms. The Screencastify, I think the ease of use here is just the best, and I think that's what most educators are using right now, Screencastify. I do encourage you to go through and look at some of the editing features in that. You can cut videos, you can compile videos, put different ones together. You can overlay text. The one thing that I haven't been able to figure out on this is how to add pictures to videos. So if that's something you want to do, you might want to kind of start with this and put everything else into iMovie or something. Like I said before, Screencast-O-Matic, it does cost some money, but if you're wanting to do some fancy editing, this is the way to go. And this is also very easy to use. And then finally, good old iMovie, I think is also very easy to use, and you can do all of the neat edits. A lot of the things that I do, I will get started in Screencastify and record some of my videos and then drop the things I want to do in iMovie. But again, the message that I want to say is just get out there and try some of these different things, and it's easier than you think if you just set aside a couple of minutes and try something new with each video. Here's a link to my channel if anybody wants to go and look at some of the things that I've done in the past. I've continually update. I try to do at least one video a month for my students, sometimes more depending on the content. So there's the link to that. And again, I think sometimes when we see content out there on YouTube or Khan Academy or things like that, it can look intimidating, but just through tinkering a little bit and planning a little bit, I've just realized that taking a few minutes to add little touches in each video that you do really goes a long way, and the students notice it. So I encourage all the teachers who are watching to try something new, and even these little small changes can make a big difference with our kids. Before I go, I'm done. I want to thank Kentucky Go Digital for having Kim and me on the show today. I think I can speak for her saying that we've had a really, really good time, and we are just so happy that we were invited to share some things that could possibly help our fellow teachers.
Well, we thank you all. I think about, that you all have always, for people that don't know Kim and Sarah, they're always like the peanut butter and jelly, like they're always together. And I think about what you presented, how you have the Ed Puzzle and then creating your own videos and putting your own videos in Ed Puzzle, so that you know that they've watched those videos and that all that work didn't go just for nothing. And then it also can go to your parents. I appreciate you all sharing. It's awesome that this is this is real. This is the way you all teach your students. This is just walking through your building. This is what you're up doing when kids are there. So when they're not there, it only makes sense that you're just as amazing virtually. And that's what you're saying, is that teachers can be virtual, but still be amazing. And it's really good that you gave these tips, and we appreciate you so much. We appreciate the panel, and I know Matt's going to take us away, but thank you all so much. Lots of good chat, tons of people. Allison Ferguson was talking about how she did her student teaching under Kim and how she taught her, and she's given her some major high fives in the chat. And Donnie Piercy was talking about some other screencast tools. Which one did you mention? WeVideo, Donnie, is that what you said?
Yeah, WeVideo. It's like iMovie for Chromebooks, but again, it's a little bit more expensive. So if you don't have the funds for it, I mean, everything else works great. And Courtney, did you realize you just dropped "This Is the Way"? You dropped the Mandalorian reference. Don't know if anyone else picked up on that, but you totally did.
Awesome. I'm done here. I'm done. I'm muting now.
Well, this was an awesome show. Sorry, I'm like bouncing back and forth. I have a Kahoot game that I'm playing with the school over here. Thank you so much for such a great show, Sarah and Kim. Courtney, do you want to tell people how they can continue to stay involved?
Always hashtag KYGoDigital with Twitter. Always, if you do something great in your class or something that you want to share just so other people can learn, or even if you have a question, it's a great community. Tons of teachers. It doesn't matter your title. Everyone in KYGoDigital is every teacher in the state that is just trying to help each other because we're in it together. You can connect on Facebook, and hopefully this summer we'll be having some more regionals that we can roll out second semester.
Awesome. Well, again, Sarah and Kim, thank you so much for sharing your brilliance with us. Everybody on the YouTube channel, thank you for tuning in. Everyone in our panel, including our Teacher of the Year, thank you for being here and contributing to the conversation and just making this as good as a show as it could possibly be. Teaching is like the ultimate team sport, and really you're just making us better with all of this knowledge. So thank you so much, Sarah and Kim. So our next show is on November 24th. It is the Tuesday right before we're probably all done for Thanksgiving break. We have Hannah Stark, who is a kindergarten teacher, and Michelle Morgan, who's a digital learning coach from Murray Independent Schools, as they share about how littles can do virtually anything, exploring the primary virtual classroom. So don't forget that as you create, connect your good ideas to our hashtag so others can share them around the state. And until next time, KYGoDigital, yes. Thank you all so much for being here. Have a great weekend.